You're listening to UnitedWeStrike.com radio on the International Community Radio Network.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent. So I never really listened to what the president said because in general I believed that the general was politically dead. But he always seemed to know when the muscles were about to be flexed. Because I remember him saying something, mumbling something about a military-industrial complex.
As I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles would not solve their problems. I have tried to offer them my deepest compassion while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they asked, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They asked if our home nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent.
Each one reach one, each one time.
I cannot be silent.
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone's got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit say work.
I cannot be silent.
Empowering the body, mind, and spirit. This is We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney.
And for those who might not be familiar with it, that was the lead-in trailer for my next guest this afternoon, Larry Pinkney and Phil Restino. Now, Larry Pinkney is a noted author. His material is most commonly accessible at Black Activist WG. That's Black Activist WG, all one word, .org. And you can catch up with Phil Restino. Apparently he posts pretty regularly over at YouTube. Just search for We Cannot Be Silent. All one word, We Cannot Be Silent. And at this time, I'd like to bring Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney in with their segment, We Cannot Be Silent. Take it away, guys. It's all yours.
Thank you, Gary. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the December 14th, 2013 edition of We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney. I am Phil Restino, and this is once again a privilege and an honor to be part of the United We Strike monthly radio marathon. The slogan we like to get out to the people is don't buy, don't comply, and ask why. And basically we ask that on the 15th of each month at a minimum to check out from the system, this whole corrupt system. Stop feeding it. Don't ask why. Oh God, I messed it up. Don't comply, ask why. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. And so we're glad to be here. This is the half-hour program, and I do want to say Monday night we'll be doing our 2-hour program over on wolfspiritradio.com, and that's going to go from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday night, 16 December, and we're going to have a great guest on who's also participates in the United We Strike marathon, Michael Rivero whatreallyhappened.com, and he's the fella that put out earlier in the year the piece called "All Wars Are Bankers' Wars," and I highly recommend folks listening to grab a hold of that. You can do a YouTube search or a startpage.com search, or just go to whatreallyhappened.com and search it there. All Wars Are Bankers' Wars by Mike Rivero, and he'll be our special guest on Monday night for the live 2-hour call-in show on wolfspiritradio.com. But right now it's December 14th, and we're on UnitedWeStrike.com, and we've got a little less than a half hour to go here, and I want to bring Larry Pinkney, the show's other co-host, on to say hello. Larry, are you there?
Yes, I am definitely here with you, my brother, and I want to say hello. I want to thank Gary for all the work he does, and I want to say I'm appreciative, Gary, for everything you do. I'm appreciative to United We Strike. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, all power to the people, to our audience. We love you. That's it. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. Thanks, Larry. Well, prior to the show, Larry and I were speaking. I had mentioned to Larry that earlier in the day I was able to participate in a half-hour segment of the marathon with Matt Navarro and Charles Irwin. Charles of AmericanFreedomBooks.com, and Matt, as you know, produces, plays a big part in putting on the monthly marathon here, and his New World Odor.com, and so if you can, check out those websites too, folks. But we were talking about the need for the people to get past their our own division with each other, our stubbornness, that we have these loyalties to our respective teams, be they the left or the right, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, and there's a lot of talk about breaking the left-right paradigm and breaking through it, or at least criticizing it for the fraud that it is. But we still have a long way to go to actually see some real-world, real-life examples of people from the left and the so-called right working together on an issue, and we ended the half-hour segment, as I mentioned to you, Larry, on the phone with, where can we see an actual example? That we talk about it, we advocate for it, but where can we actually see an example of this in action? And Larry and I were reminded that shortly, February of 2012, Larry, I believe it was, mm-hmm. we did our program, and the guest we had was this fella from USobserver.com, I think it is, and he's with a fellow, he's with a group out there that is considered the right, or the Tea Party, or patriot groups, and their concern was the indefinite detention provisions of the 2012 NDAA. And what they did was they got together with the folks in the Occupy movement in their local community in Oregon, and
who are considered the left. Go ahead.
Yes, who considered the left, and it took some principled people in each group to be able to put aside the differences that they know they have on other issues, and to do what they could to bring their respective groups together physically and demonstrate publicly against the NDAA. And it was on YouTube, and it was promising at the time. Don't you think, Larry? We were pretty excited about it, to actually see these people actually get past the trappings of the left-right paradigm and work together. And, you know, we haven't seen much of it since, have we, Larry?
We haven't, but we intend to. Go ahead.
Yes, and that's what I'm hoping to pursue more is you know, how can we do a better job at facilitating this? You know, actual on the ground people in the street working together. We've been trying for years locally here in the Daytona Beach area. Kathy, who's the Code Pink woman, my girlfriend Kathy, local Code Pink coordinator. For years, we've attended the meetings of the progressive groups, the Occupy groups, the 9/12, the Tea Party, the patriot groups, and we try to just be ourselves and show up to these things, and we stay consistent about what our primary cause is: stopping the genocidal wars we've been committing on the rest of the world for the past God knows how many years. That's our primary focus, but we show up for these things, and we try to keep on good relations with all these people, and we have had some success, but as far as bringing the two together, but not what we want to do better. And it's work. It's really, really hard to give up you know, you're wanting to be right and them wrong. You know what I mean, Larry? It's easier said than done, we've found, and I go back to your the YouTube that's on your website, blackactivistwg.org, blackactivistwg.org, and is that Black Activists with an S? Plural?
Just no S.
Black Activist, singular, WG.org. And you look for that YouTube. It's 17 minutes long, and it's called Larry Pinkney, A Prison Experience. And Larry, this might be a good time if you could give a brief recollection of that story there, your prison experience, and this is what we need to see. It was about when you were in prison in the California State Penitentiary, and there were a lot of killings going on, and the different racial groups inside the prisons, and you were known there as one of the Black Panther Party members, and one of the groups was the White Aryan Brotherhood, you know, which y'all, black and white, didn't get along, especially in prison. So maybe you could share a little bit of that story with the listeners, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to say that, first of all, this was after the United Nations had ruled that I self-authored, successfully self-authored my case to the United Nations under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The UN ruled that the UN ruled that indeed my civil and political rights had been violated, and of course that was done by the Canadian and the U.S. government, the U.S. and Canadian governments. Anyway, so nevertheless, that was ignored. That UN ruling. The big bad UN was ignored. I was shipped to prison from Canada into U.S. prisons, a number of prisons, but specifically in California. And in the prison that I was in, there were, as you pointed out, there were a lot of killings between people of different colors. I don't call them races because it's one race, the human race, and different colors, different ethnicities. And it was based on that, on color differences. And the long and short of the story is this, that a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, neo-Nazis, came up to me and said, look, man, I have been framed, set up by the prison authorities. Will you help me? And the long and short, as I said, of the story is that I answered, yes, I will. Now, there were certain, shall we say, factions who said to me, Larry, you're not going to help them, are you? That's the Aryan Brotherhood. They're neo-Nazis. They're that. I said, you know what? The bottom line is we are all in this struggle together. And I don't have to agree with their stance, their position, to know that they're being screwed just like we're being screwed. And the killings have to stop. We're murdering each other, and the prison authorities love this. They love it. They get, they get double, triple pay. They get all of this because here we are like fools killing each other. And so I decided, yes, I told this person, this young man, yes, I will defend you in what was called Warden's Court. Warden's Court simply is a court internally in the prison where you go and face the charges that the prison authorities have brought against you. And the long and short of it, I keep saying long and short because I don't want to make this story exhaustive, and so let me just be blunt. Long and short is, we won. We won. So they threw me into solitary confinement, okay, and for one of the first times in California history, blacks, whites, browns, yellow, red folks all came together, all of these prisoners, and said, you better let that man out. How dare you do this? You're doing this to all of us. All of us, you dig? All of us.
When you were in solitary, right, Larry? You were
I was in
solitary
solitary confinement. We call it the hole.
For successfully defending this fella in Warden's Court.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
And so, the bottom line is that we have to understand that it's a divide and conquer thing. Democrats, Republicans, you know what they are? They're plantation holders. That's what they are. It's a Democratic and Republican Party plantation. We need to diss them. We need to relegate them to the dustbin of history because they have been a disservice, and I repeat, disservice to human beings of all colors. They want to keep us divided. They want to control and manipulate us. They want to play on our fears. They want to use subterfuge, set us up, play us off against each other, and that's their strategy. It's simple. It's not complicated. It's very simple. So, if it could be done in prison, it can be done anywhere in this nation, anywhere in this world. But it takes persistence. It takes honesty. Okay? And we have to do that. That's what this struggle, is really all about. Black, white, brown, red, and yellow people. All everyday, ordinary people. That's what this struggle was about. Take the Democrats, take the Republicans, and shove them into the dustbin of history where they belong.
Well, yes, and thank you, Larry. I say that's a great example. And here's the point, Larry, that needs to be made clear. By doing this, by helping this fella, and he was wrongly set up, as you mentioned, mm-hmm. and it was a matter of principle, as well as an opportunity to stop the killing, which was mm-hmm. killing your brothers and their brothers, even,
That's right.
Okay? But that does, by putting aside the differences, to accomplish the, to take on this opportunity to stop the killing, doesn't mean you guys had to be friends. Doesn't mean you had to compromise your positions or sell out or give in on the other issues that you differed with them on, or your dislike or whatever for them. It didn't mean you had to give any of that up, or they had to give any of theirs up, you know?
Right, right. Of course not.
And I think that is what's played upon on the outside here with the different groups here, the left and the right groups, the progressives and anti-war groups, the Occupy
so-called
groups.
Progressives, so-called anti-war.
Yes.
But go ahead.
And the so-called patriot groups too, you know, the patriots when it's a Democrat in office, you know, but when it's a Republican, you know, where's the Constitution then? You know, it's both sides, and there is I've noticed it locally, because as I mentioned earlier, Kathy and I attend these different groups, and we see them locally. We pay attention, and there is a great resistance, no matter how much you can agree on principle, to actually physically coming together and standing shoulder to shoulder, or being in the same room to work on an issue is extremely difficult because of these other hang-ups, you know.
Yeah, because Phil, you know, my brother, they keep us on the plantation. You think the plantation has got black, white, brown, red, and yellow people on it, and the Democrats and Republicans play on that. They keep us on this plantation. All right, and it's time for all of us, everyday, ordinary, black, white, brown, red, and yellow people, to get the hell off of this plantation. Get off the plantation. Let's talk with each other. We don't have to agree. That's fine. But let's at least understand that, number one, numero uno, we are human beings. And whatever our agreements or disagreements might be, it is time for us to come together for our common interests. I repeat, it is time for us to come together for our common interests. We can deal with those things that we disagree on, but let's deal with that later. Let's come together for our common interests now, because at stake is everything. The country, the United States of America, has been taken away from the people of this country. It has been taken away. Mother Earth, this planet, is in peril. The corporations, are controlling everything, whether it's on the internet, whether it's the news media. You have about 4 or 5 individuals, if you will, who control the entire news media in the United States: CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS, Fox, etc., etc. It's a sick joke. We need to be honest with ourselves and each other. So we can do this, but it's going to take work, it's going to take honesty, it's going to take persistence. So that's what this is all about. Back in the day when I was a Black Panther in the original Black Panther Party, not to be confused with the so-called new Black Panther Party. In the original Black Panther Party, we said all power to the people, and we had that. All power to the people, black, white, brown, red, yellow, all the people. That's what this struggle today, more so than ever before, is really about.
Yes. Yes, it is. And we're our worst enemy. And the people do have the power, and it's we the people that are getting in the way of us recognizing enough power. I mean, the prison story, Larry. As you mentioned, the powers that be wanted to see y'all killing each other.
That's right. That's right.
And you guys always had the power, and it wasn't until you came together on that injustice being done to all of you all, in this case, it was the Aryan brother, he was set up, you were set up, he knew that you had successfully defended yourself already, and he came to you, and it was the prison, the system that was your common enemy. That was the one y'all needed to be. If you're going to fight anybody, it was that. So when y'all came together and you defended this fella in Warden's court, not only defended him, but successfully, the killing stopped. The behavior that you all wanted to stop stopped because you actually came together. And when you did and put those other differences aside, now I doubt very seriously after that happened, the Aryan brothers were sitting at the same lunch table with the blacks and the Chicanos. You know,
that wasn't the objective.
That was not the point.
Objective.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting at, you know. So when we hear this, you know, we can't work with these people because we don't want to be associated with strange bedfellows or unaccepted bedfellows.
That's phony crap.
It's got to stop.
All it is phony crap. It's just a bunch of people who are unprincipled. If you have principles, then you're going to do the right thing. Whether the person is white, black, brown, red, yellow, it doesn't matter. You're going to do the right thing because you have to do the right thing because you have principles. And that's what this was about. I would fight, as Malcolm X said, and H. Rap Brown said, I will fight just as hard against a black oppressor as I would against a white oppressor or any oppressor of any color. Okay, and
I tell you what, I hate to butt in. I hate to butt in, but you know, it was you guys were on a roll, and I did not want to butt in, but we're coming right up to crunch time. We've got less than a minute left. I've got to give you guys a little bit of time to do a little self-promotion before I have to cut you off of here. These 30-minute segments just aren't quite long enough, Larry and Phil. They just really aren't. But please,
but we're thankful for them, Gary.
A little self-promotion.
Have a little more time. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I'm done. It's an injustice. An injustice to one is an injustice to all. And
injustice don't have no color.
That's right. So for me, I would urge people to go to intrepidreport.com. Okay, my latest article is Barack Obama's de facto. What is it called? Barack Obama's de facto national. I'm trying to remember the actual name of the article, but just put in Barack Obama's de facto, and the article will come up in its entirety. It's on intrepidreport.com, and you know it's worth reading. The other thing that you can read, where you can read about what I do, would be on Black Activist Writers Guild, okay, and that's Black Activist Writers Guild, WG.org. And by the way, the name of the article on Intrepid Report is Barack Obama's de facto totalitarian nation. Barack Obama's de facto totalitarian nation. On intrepidreport.com. But you can see all my work on blackactivistwg.org. I'm done with that. You, Phil.
Okay, but thanks again. Thank you all for listening. Remember, don't buy, don't comply, ask why. UnitedWeStrike.com, and at least on the 15th of every month, just check out from the system. Give it a rest. Free yourself, and you realize you have power. And Monday night on wolfspiritradio.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, Larry and I will be on for 2 hours with Michael Rivero of WhatReallyHappened.com, and we'll be talking about all wars are bankers' wars and more about these banks that are really the problem. So thanks again, folks. Have a good holidays, and we'll see you next month. Thank you, Gary.
I'll tell you what, guys, you stole about a minute from David Frank, but we're just you were on a roll, and I just had to let you take the time. But we're going to go out of here with a little bit of Righteous Brothers while I make the next call. Here we go.
All right.
This is United We Strike Radio on the International Community Radio Network. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. UnitedWeStrike.com Radio.